is great on one hand, but it's kind of sad on the other, because it means that once my time on this earth is done, then there'll be all these sketchbooks and notebooks of ideas. I mean, when I first started charging people, I kind of felt guilty. The great artist Pablo Picasso was reported to have said that after he left art school, it took him 7 years to unlearn everything he learned. I'd just say that anything is possible.
Ezra is a proud business owner and a father of 3. He's a visual storyteller who can be described as a creative maverick as well as a Renaissance man. He is currently writing a book for young people looking to get into the creative industries, and in the process has been invited to be a trustee of the Olive series of academy schools. Ezra also recently painted on an international collaborative art project in Spain.
Hey Ezra, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you. Good to meet you again.
And welcome to Trampoline's podcast.
Interesting, yeah. I've seen the others. They've been good, so I've been looking forward to doing it.
Thanks for being here. So I just wanted to start with a quick question about your background. Can you tell me about yourself and how you got to where you are in your career?
That's, I won't say loaded question, but it's a long one. But I'll just give you the truncated version. I've always been a creative, always been into drawing. I initially wanted to be an architect when I was younger, but then when I was 15, I got a love for graphic design, and then my path took me along that trajectory. Then after that, I got interested in spray painting, so I started to do like wall murals around London, and then my creative career started to take off. But then I got a family, became a single parent, and then put my creative stuff largely on hold for 2 decades while I was raising my daughters. But now that they've grown, I'm getting back into it and having the opportunity to put myself first and really go for it as a creative.
Amazing. So as a creative worker or a professional who does a lot of design work and also writing work, what's been the main guiding force for you along the way?
Wanting to not just achieve my potential, but inspire others to achieve theirs as well. One of the things I do are mural art workshops with schools and youth clubs, and those have mainly been with so-called at-risk teens or those that don't engage in formal education. Mm-hmm. So I've come in as almost like a vocational teacher with a creative slant to do projects which help them engage, tap into their own creativity, their own intelligence, combine that with their inspiration to do something that's different, which is going to get them acclaim from their peers and also their teachers and those in authority who were looking at them in a new light because they've seen them as having the ability to do something that's positive, that's creative, and then that allows a new dialogue to develop. And then once those young people see themselves in a new light, others will too, and they move on from that.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that that's one of the things that helps you to see how you can then bring your work forward? Are you kind of taking the experience with the youths in the community and applying it to your own work in terms of what you express in your artwork?
It's a symbiotic relationship in the sense of I learn from them just as much as they learn from me. And also, I was one of those kids that had African parents. I'm from Ghana originally. So there was no support in terms of wanting to have a creative career. It was a thing of, oh yeah, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer. And because I didn't want to follow that path, my parents didn't really want to have much to do with it. But, I mean, they're proud of me now, but a part of me looks back and think, well, when I needed you, you weren't really there, like in the early days. So I figure that there's lots of other young people out there from all sorts of backgrounds, not just immigrants, but those from English families as well. And I think a lot of those young people do get overlooked. They don't get the encouragement. So I figure that if you take a young person that's had support from a community that he or she has grown up in, if you support them, encourage them, nurture them, if they end up leaving and making it big or being successful, they're more likely to want to come back and do the same thing for other young people coming up and for their community, because they'll see it as a whole thing of paying back or paying forward. Whereas if that young person doesn't get support, the support that they need, they're less likely to do that. So I'd rather help and encourage young people that have been in my situation of not having that support, to just help them fulfill their, I know it's a cliche, but helping them fulfill their potential, even if it's not necessarily a creative one, but you can use that creativity as a springboard to find out who they are, what they want to be in life.
Absolutely. So last year you graduated from Trampoline's SPF Launchpad program. Mm-hmm. Did you feel like the Launchpad program had the type of support you were looking for, or what areas would you, or who would you advise rather, to come onto the program?
There's a whole thing, if you get out of something what you put into it, mm-hmm. but it goes deeper than that. I think after support is important, because it's okay talking about, I mean, that's one thing that you'll find in schools, in unis, and all the rest of it. I think if you're going to get onto the trampoline program or any business course or any course, have an idea at least of what you're going to get out of it. Don't expect to be spoon-fed. Don't expect to be mollycoddled. You will get a lot of help, but you're going to have to guide people in terms of how to help you. And you're going to have to be forthcoming in expressing the help that you need.
Right.
You may not know what it is initially when you join, but it's one of those things of you're going to have to kind of hit the ground running and learn fast, because it's not an infinite amount of time that you have, it's for a set period. So know what it is you want to do, and then once you know what you want to do, then it's about seeking those that can help you do it. So I think in terms of me, the course was good in terms of helping me solidify what I wanted to do, because I can do all these different creative things. I do creative writing, I do calligraphy, I do sign writing, I do drawing, I do painting, I do spray paint murals, I do 3D graphics, I do graphic design, logo design. So the course was great in terms of helping me take all those strands and actually formatting it and niching down so that they're clearly defined roles which lead to clearly defined goals.
Nice rhyme as well. Right. That's amazing. And thanks for sharing that little bit of advice for future cohort members. I think that could be really helpful to someone who might want to join our programming. I just really want to hear more about when you initially started your business. What were the initial challenges you faced, and how did you overcome those?
One of the initial ones, there's just so much to learn. I think one thing that a lot of business startups don't do is ask for help. There's this myth that you have to know. You don't. There are people that will fund you, but it's about finding them. There are people that will help you. It's about finding them. There are organizations that will help you. It's about finding them. The help is out there, but it's almost like looking for truffles or digging for pearls in the sand that you just got to be. It's about timing. It's about being tenacious. It's about being focused and making the time to make these things happen, because thousands of people are starting businesses every week. You know, what's so different about yours? Your business may not be different, but your approach may be, and your approach is what's going to give you the edge over all the others which are out there. One thing which I do still need help with, embarrassingly, is I still need to find a accountant, because one thing I've realized is it's best if people know what kind of business they're going to have, set it up before the course ends, at least halfway through, whether you're going to be a sole trader, whether you're going to be a limited company, whether you're going to be a partnership, whether you're going to be a CIC. All these different business models, they have different tax implications. Like if you're a sole trader, you can do your own accounts. If you're a limited company like what I am, my company is WriteHandDesigns, then you need to have an accountant. And don't just get any accountant, make sure it's a chartered accountant. It makes a world of difference. And also your accountant is supposed to help you save money, at least know how you can save money. So get one that's knowledgeable and isn't just about getting a paycheck, that's there to help you as well.
Of course. Again, solid advice. So I have just a quote that I drew from your website. You were talking about your written works, and you want them to look like, quote, the birth of a star with many colors, shapes, and textures. I just found that line so beautiful, and I wanted to ask you kind of, how do you approach your writing style, and how do you bring out that imagery?
Apparently, the great artist Pablo Picasso was reported to have said that after he left art school, it took him 7 years to unlearn everything he learned. And I think it's a double-edged, anything can be a double-edged sword. I mean, we live in a universe of dualities and opposites. So it's just like with musicians, with writers, with artists. There are those that are trained, those that are untrained. The training's great, or it can be great, because it teaches you different techniques, it teaches you discipline, it teaches you the raison d'etre in terms of what you're doing and why you're doing it and the history and development of it. But that can also stifle your intuition and your own creativity. With my writing, I've been told that it's good. I write children's stories, though nothing's published yet, so I'm also looking for a publisher. Mm-hmm. But I don't have the training, so I've had to learn the structure and things like that of, written works and stories and all the rest of it. But I write based on similar to how I paint. I paint and write how I feel. I go with my own intuition on it. So I think in pictures as opposed to words. Thinking in words is a weird concept for me. I suppose it's for a lot of creative people. But thinking in pictures allows me to visualize. So I'm basically describing what I see. Or when I'm painting what I see with my mind's eye.
Right.
So that's pretty much how I approach things in life.
I have a question also about your next goals. So you mentioned you're looking for a chartered accountant. You mentioned you're looking for someone to publish your children's books.
Yes.
Are there any other goals or steps toward those goals that you have planned out for the coming year?
Networking. Networking is also important. One of the frustrating things is, I've done a couple of collaborative projects with other people on the trampoline course that was part of the cohort I was. Like Ibrahim from Brooklyn, the t-shirt company, Sarah from who has a print company over in Broccoli. I've done a couple of projects with her. It's great to collaborate, and I'm looking forward to continuing collaborating with these and possibly other people as well. Mm-hmm. But it's about, I suppose, getting out there. And one of the reasons why I wanted to be a limited company was because a lot of larger companies who I'd like to work for wouldn't work with sole traders. They'd want to work with other companies. So that was my reason for that. So so for me, the next step is putting together a package with which I can not just approach publishers, but larger companies for merchandising options in terms of my art. Yeah, because I want to take my art more into the digital domain, so I'm not just doing one-offs, so that I'm doing skins for laptops and phone cases and doing merchandising and t-shirts and things like that as well, as well as like prints and posters.
Where do you get all the inspiration to do these different designs? I mean, do you follow specific media, or how do you come up with ideas to create, for example, a t-shirt?
I'm one of those people that I'd never have creative blocks. I'm always amazing. Thinking, I'm always conceptualizing. My mind is it's like a factory in here, I've got way more ideas than I have time to produce, which is great on one hand, but it's kind of sad on the other, because it means that once my time on this earth is done, then there'll be all these sketchbooks and notebooks of ideas and things which haven't been realized, but that's just the way it is. I wouldn't want to give that up. I'm one of those people that don't see myself ever retiring. I just keep going till I draw my last breath, because the essence of what I do is being creative. I love it. It's something I've always enjoyed, and it's something I'll always do. So, and also it doesn't feel like work to me, which, I mean, when I first started charging people, I kind of felt guilty, the same way I think a lot of creative people do, because I didn't get into it to make money, but that's kind of an option which I've been blessed with. So obviously I'm not as well known as a lot of people, or well known even, but I mean, I'd like to be, but I think I'd also like, a part of me would like to have the freedom of being anonymous as well. Mm-hmm. So I'd sooner have the fortune as opposed to the fame, because you can be famous and be poor, and you can also be anonymous and be wealthy. But I'm not talking about huge house in the country type wealth, but just not have to worry about bills and be able to take holidays and help out family and those close to me when needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're approaching the outro of our lovely podcast. So I just have a few quick fire questions for you. Okay. And I was hoping you could give some brief answers.
Great.
Yeah, one of them is, what would you do if you had to leave behind your business in writing and graphic design right now?
What you mean? What I'd do as an alternative career?
Yeah.
Reflexology.
No way.
I'm a reflexologist as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, good answer. So where do you see yourself and your brand, the one that you have now, in 5 years?
Traveling nomad.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Before Brexit, my passion was to go live in the southern Mediterranean in a small town or small village, do art for the locals, but still have not rely on the local economy, but basically by doing graphics, which can be outsourced digitally and have money coming in that way, is like a passive income.
Good plan. And also, if you have any last moments of advice to provide to anyone on the trampoline program, this is a nice opportunity.
It's worth taking it. Make sure you get a mentor that suits you and suits what you want to do, but also don't rely on them or trampoline to fix your problems. That's down to you. Their help is a step. Trampoline is a stepping stone. You're the one that's got to do the walking. And also, I think in terms of last-minute advice, I think I'd just say that anything is possible. The only question is, what are you prepared to do to make it happen?
All right, Ezra. Well, that wraps up today, and thank you for being on our podcast. It's been great. I wanted to just share with everyone the socials that you have. They're going to be displayed on the screen in a second. So WriteHandDesigns with an underscore between hand and designs is your Instagram, whereas your website is WriteHandDesigns.com. And I hope you'll all check it out.
Thank you. It's been great being here. I mean, these things, I don't do them often, but I try and be honest and sincere and free-flowing about my art. So it's been good. Thank you.